Are you all ready for some pure and utter fantasy football nonsense with the Rev and Chaza? I know I'm not. Let's preview Game Week 2. Hello fantasy managers and welcome back to our Game Week 2 preview show. I am the FPL Rev and I'm joined today by someone who is completely inimitable. They are one of a kind, they are unique, they are the man, the myth, the mullet. It's Chaza Roberts. Chaza, how are you doing, mate? And I gave you one job before the start of the show, was to make sure your mic wasn't muted. Your mic is still muted, brother. Your mic is still muted. It's a button. There you go. Oh my, what a start.
What a start.
I did say to everyone it's going to be pure and utter nonsense today because we are possibly the two most chaotic members of the FPL Addicts pod. So I hope you're all in for one.
The pizza shop.
Oh yeah,
I'm
nice.
Every Thursday, but now I'm back here to talk loads of stuff.
Top nutrition advice here already on the FPL Addicts podcast is go and get yourself pizza when you're supposed to be hosting the show.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, mate, I've got to have a bit of a dig at you. I've got to have a bit of a dig at you before we start anything. Because were you at the game yesterday?
I wasn't in Sydney, no, but I was in Melbourne watching it with a couple
I
of
mean,
friends
you did give me enough stick about the Ashes, so, you know, I do have to give you some back, mate.
Yeah.
I'm afraid. So, come on, the Lionesses. And apologies to all of our Australian viewers. Yes, Gary in the chat, he says Lionesses, boom. Yes, Gary knows. And we are here to rub it in your face today, Chaza.
Yeah, about Lionesses. When I first looked at it and pronounced it, I called it Lionesses for some reason.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I mean, to be fair, I can't really give you that much stick, actually, because today, Chaza, I think for the first time maybe in FPL Addicts history,
am I on top of the mini league?
Chaza Roberts is at the top of the mini league. Chaza, how does it feel to right now be the Burger King?
Hey, well, there's one chance. Tick that box to prove myself. Now I've got 37 more chances to do so.
Yeah, brilliant. So how did your game week 1 go then? What's the general feeling then as you're going into the season? Do you think that you're in for a good season this season then?
It's still very, very early days, but I was relatively pleased with how the team performed through the course of a weekend. Got relatively lucky, especially with Sam Johnston in goal. Great pick from you, by the way, Rev. So
yeah,
I
had the stats for us there, didn't I?
Yeah. Ollie Watkins, look, he got okay with an assist, but I felt there were other more valued forwards that did a lot better than him. For example, Isaac and João Pedro, which is unfortunately don't have in my side. The captaincy worked, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Gabriel,
great stuff.
Showing up for 4 minutes didn't help either. So
yeah, well, I'm sure that's something we'll certainly speak about. But until then, Miriam offers her congratulations towards you, Chaza.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's great. So let's talk about some of the assets that were part of Game Week 1's teams in fantasy managers teams all over the globe. I think one of the more important people to start with is potentially, I would say, Estupinan. For me, was a standout defender. So let's start with defenders. We've already mentioned goalkeepers a little bit. But for me, Estupinan was looking really lively. I'm not getting too carried away because it was, against Luton. But he still created 6 chances. He had 2 shots on target. He had a expected goal involvement of 0.97, which for a defender is absolutely is absolutely amazing. And you were also there with a Stupinan in your team as well, contributing to your pretty big score, Chaza.
I was. It would have been really nice if they were able to put out a clean sheet against a newly promoted Luton side. I've nearly said Brighton for one moment. But yes, an assist and getting 3 bonus points despite getting a yellow card is the most jammiest of performances from a player of his calibre. So he really can't complain. And we saw it in the back end, the last few games of the previous campaign, where he was definitely capable of producing what he did on Saturday. Yeah,
definitely. And Gary also makes a great point here about game week 1. He says a lot of players fell at hurdle 1 to injury, opening it up for some of the new players to shine. So a standout performance also ended in an injury for them is Timber from Arsenal. Charlie, did you see that game? Yeah.
It was a massive sign for Mikel Arteta during the summer. Arteta exactly knew what he wanted. And now it's just gone out the window for a majority of the campaign. I feel you could try as Tierney, I think Zinchenko, but Gabriel
Arsenal just have no luck with left backs, do they?
No, we don't. That's correct. Gabriel, I presume, would start away at Selhurst, but he's an issue in itself, which we'll get on to very shortly. Safe to say, it was a content day ended with a sour note.
Yeah, indeed. Before we move on, an FPL Addicts podcast legend, Mike Halpin. Always a pleasure to see you in the chat, mate. Yeah, but we'll continue with Gary's pointer topic, injuries that allowed some other players to shine. John Stones as well. He was another player that was in my team, and I got some, some early team news. I was following along to some of the other streamers. So shout out to FPL Raptor, shout out FPL Mate, shout out to FPL Andy as well. Let's talk FPL. Like, they were all really great in sharing some of that last minute team news. We got the wind of John Stones not starting. So it was one of them in which I moved to. I just wanted to start with Triple City, and I always, felt like that was the move. And then, I put in Phil Foden, which obviously a blank, but he looked promising. And then I went with Julian Alvarez, who bagged a little assist as well. But I've been harping on about him all season. Did you have any Man City assets there, Chaza?
Just Haaland.
Oh, yeah?
But am I right in saying that you didn't actually start with Erling Haaland?
Yeah, I did.
You did, okay.
That's a given. That goes what? He's the robot. He's in everyone's team, right?
Yeah.
So
you called me out there for a second because I thought you started with Stones, Foden, and Alvarez.
No, I took Stones out and I put Luke Shaw in.
Oh, Luke Shaw in, okay.
And then I went for Alvarez and Foden as the other two.
Gosh, we may as well talk about City assets while we're on it. Or Stones, I feel. I had a Super Cup last night and he just stayed on the bench. So I'm not sure if that's an indication that he will start at home to Newcastle, which is a massive game in itself for Man City. All of a sudden, Foden, Alvarez, I think they're the major beneficiaries now when you think about it, because Kevin De Bruyne is out for a few months with
terrible injury. Like, I think these injuries, these ACL injuries, seem to be getting out of hand. To be honest, everyone seems to be dropping like flies with them, but obviously for our FPL teams, it does. Like, I think I am a really fortunate person because everyone will be probably looking to scramble to get the likes of Phil Foden and Alvarez into their teams, whilst I can begin to look a little bit further ahead now myself. Yeah, so before we move on, go back to the chat. It's the Mr. Crescent himself, Tambir. Hello, mate. Welcome to the pod. What a legend. Met him in real life. Absolutely lovely guy. Super funny as well. We'll have a look at the next thing on the subject list is I've got the Manchester United performance. Chaza, what do you make of that performance? What a horror show from Man United, even though they won. But talk about winning ugly.
Be generous, Rev. that was bang average from them. They did not look
It was bang average. Yeah.
Wolves, I felt they definitely should have got something out of that game. I really like to look at Cunha through the middle too. He looked so dangerous against that United defence.
Yeah.
United assets was disappointing. I'm still backing Rashford for another week, only because I see that Tottenham game being relatively open. Because Tottenham, they can't defend for their lives, but they can attack. Similar to how United play these days. Bruno, look, in terms of holding that transfer, be worth holding on to, but he's more of a concern out of the two more popular assets because of Mount taking his corners.
That was
what you were about to
it's
say.
a big point for me is the lack of set pieces. We know how dangerous Bruno can be on set pieces, and the fact that those are now appear to have been taken away from him whilst Mason Mount is on the pitch, it's kind of hard to know what to do with him. I think for me right now, I'm tempted to go to someone like James Maddison.
I'm thinking the same this week, to be honest, but it's so important.
At the same time, is like, what's better, James Maddison against Tottenham or James Maddison against Man United or Bruno against Tottenham? I don't think there's too much.
There's not.
I don't feel like we've got enough information yet.
No, we don't. And
do you know what I mean?
There will be a lot to do it. In addition, you wouldn't want to do that move next week, only because Madison's away at Bournemouth, but Fernandes is at home tonight in
Forest. It's not really worth wasting a transfer when the fixtures
you don't do it at all.
Yeah. He's probably a hold for now, but if someone comes up which looks incredibly dangerous, Bruno right now for me is first on the chopping block. I kind of wanted to maybe think about a Jota or a Diaz, and because Diaz got his goal, I'd like to maybe say that I'd be more tempted to go to Luis Diaz, especially for that Bournemouth game. I don't know about you, mate, but I'm going to be watching that Liverpool-Bournemouth game from behind the sofa because I have no Liverpool assets at the moment. But I could be tempted to go Bruno to Luis Diaz or to Diego Jota. Oh no, is Jota listed as a forward this season? Or a midfielder. I can't remember. Let us know in the comments.
My sentence. I expect you to just research on that website and find out if Jota is a mid or a forward. Have a brief say on this game, okay? We saw last year, Salah blanks 9-0 surprisingly, but whoever starts, some attacker is going to get double digits. I just don't know who it is.
They are.
And even bringing in a Liverpool attacker, what is
the
point of them being rotated? Because saw Gakpo's position at Chelsea. They were going for 4 wingers that game.
Yeah. No, it's
2 wingers spots.
It's true. Before we move on, I would like to share some stats. So from understat.com, for those of us who are struggling with our Man United assets, let's look at the nitty gritty. Let's look at the numbers. And so this is the map of Marcus Rashford. So this is again understat.com. We're not sponsored by them or anything. This is just one of the stats that I use. So here we have the XG chain 90, which is the total XG of every possession the player is involved in per 90. So how involved are they in the build-up play? XG build-up per 90 as well is quite a similar stat. And here we see that Marcus Rashford wasn't terribly involved in those things, but a lot of things were going through him when in terms of the chain possession. So that was good. Something that is encouraging for Marcus Rashford is that he did take 4 shots on goal, which is really good against the team like Wolves that were that looked really good, by the way. Wolves looked like a really decent team, but the thing is, the quality of those shots weren't exactly very good. They are 0.33 XG per 90, which isn't great. And then, so and I've got a theory about Manchester United, but bear with me. So this is Bruno Fernandes, who, as we can see clearly, is very, very much involved in the build-up play, a lot more so than Marcus Rashford, and he registered 3 key passes during the entire game, which is great, and he had an expected assist of 0.31. So on another day, he could have got an assist, if someone had buried one of those 3 key passes. For example, he also took a shot, which for me, as a Wolves team, going against that, who have historically had a lot of space in front of their area, I would be expecting Bruno to take a few more shots. But again, not on corners anymore, slightly concerning. He's a hole for now. The thing that I think is the problem with Manchester United at the moment, and I know it's early days, but this is the stats of Mason Mount. So keep in mind that Bruno Fernandes area of effectiveness map, and obviously the bigger the green surface area, the more effective and more involved that player is in the game. Take a look at Mason Mount, and that is a shocking comparison in terms of effectiveness and in terms of involvement in build-up and the ability to offer any key passes. Didn't take any shots all game. It was registered 0 expected assists, especially for a person on corners as well. So this could be potentially the weak link in the chain. I think Ten Hag will look at these numbers, maybe throw in someone different out there in that role, but I'm not sure who would replace Mason Mount. But I feel like Ten Hag, what we do know is that he can have words with his team, and he can turn them round. But yeah, again, there we go, Mason Mount, and then last but not least, I would like to share Luke Shaw, who also did quite well. So the long and short from me, just looking at the stats, is that your Man United assets are a hold for now, even though they dropped an absolute horror show against Wolves. Go on.
Top of what you're going to say, are you able to just name to the audience who are watching tonight who United are playing for their next 8 games, please?
Oh, yeah. So what you can do is you can go on the app and shove it, Chaza. Well, speaking of people who are in the chat, let's say hello to a couple more of the folks. It's Colin. Colin, welcome back. Obviously, an FPL Addicts podcast regular. Welcome back, mate. And Gary there just confirming that Jota is a mid. Jota is someone who I'm quite tempted by, but I think
last season too.
Yeah, indeed. So good stuff. Right, let's continue to move on with a couple of our teams, Chaza. Chaza, do you want to share? Oh, you already have. So, Chaza, do you just want to talk us through what happened with your game week this week, and talk us through your team there, mate?
Did we just go through it? Oh, yeah, sure. Wait, you've already got mine on screen. How excellent. Yeah, so this is mine for game week 2. Do we not do this later in the podcast? What's going on here?
No idea, mate. We're just rolling with it.
All right, let's just roll with it. Yeah,
just get on with it.
Yep, roll the transfer, and the only thing I'm changing is who's starting in goal. That's all, because I feel Matt Turner, his chances of keeping a clean sheet are relatively high this game week at home to Sheffield United, and it being at the City Ground helps.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
What assets in your team? I've got to say, mate, this is like the template, isn't it?
It is the boring
actual template.
That's what it should be.
Player for player, this is the template.
Yeah.
Watkins and Matoma, Chilwell. You've probably got some money in the bank as well.
1 mil, yeah.
Yeah, 1 mil in the bank. Is it burning a hole in your pocket?
Look, it could be. I could have done Matoma to Madison, but I wouldn't get rid of Matoma.
Yeah, that's good. And were there any performances from this last week that you are particularly concerned about? So first of all, let's talk about the Gabriel situation.
Yeah, Gabriel, I think
Because
it's time. It's a surprise because there's a good consecutive streaks in terms of him starting games under
he
Arteta.
started the last 70 games.
Yeah, 70 games. Well, I knew you'd find that off somewhere. And then he started the Community Shield, and I feel it was a tactical decision, which I find odd.
Is he a hold? Is he a hold for you?
Look,
and why?
For now, he is, because the only transfer I'm thinking about at the moment is Bruno to Maddison, and Gabriel. Like, I'm content for what it is, but that's all for my team. It's only 1 week.
Yeah, so if you're watching along in the chat and you've got Gabriel, let us know what you are doing with Gabriel. For me, I think I'm holding Gabriel at the moment because of the Timber injury. So I feel like Saliba could move out slightly left and Gabriel could play that more middle role. If Arteta wants to go what was it, a 3-1-6 it looked like they were playing at one point? That was incredible tactics. You know, these Spanish managers with their, tiki-taka football, which is great. Yeah, so Mike Halpin, he says he's in the hold boat, and also Gary is holding till after this week. Yeah, I think we can always take stock afterwards and try and evaluate once we've got a little bit more information. Was it a slight knock? I think it was FPL Raptor who said forgive me if I'm wrong for that, but he said he's just speculating, but could it have been like a training ground bust up? Was he late for training, which meant he didn't start or whatever? It could be anything. We just don't know. Or was it tactical? We just don't know. But yeah, Isaac, he says, I reckon hold off on midfield or forward transfers and try to get onto James early, despite playing West Ham. Okay. Interesting.
About Reece James, I feel those that started with him over Chilwell, it's worth holding on to James for the meantime because it's only 1 game week. In addition, we know what he's capable of. They got him off early due to managing his injury. He played 80 minutes, which is a good amount, nonetheless. Chilwell generally looked as a winner on Sunday. I would recommend bringing him in at your earliest opportunity. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, folks, if you don't have Ben Chilwell in your team, you really he looked great. I think Let's Talk FPL made a cracking tweet, which was Chelsea's striker costs 5.5 mil. Obviously, alluding to Ben Chilwell. He was that far forward, wasn't he, Chaza?
He was. Yeah. My question is, because I'm not sure you do it this week, probably next week, considering they're at home to Luton, would you consider doubling up on Chelsea's defence?
I think not this week. I think whilst I do like the idea of a double Chelsea defence, and I'm even tempted, by the way, by the idea of Johnson to Sanchez, by the way, to have a 4.5 mil Chelsea keeper in play. I'm tempted. However, I feel like we just don't have enough information yet either. Also, Jarrod Bowen is looking really good, and it could be an option for when our fixtures for West Ham turn a little bit later on in the season, because he looks to be playing as a centre forward right now, out of position, FPL asset. But also, I feel like Jarrod Bowen could just carry on as really good form and just score a goal against Chelsea. I'm not sure I fancy them to keep a clean sheet, is what I'm saying. But just whilst we're on the subject there of Ben Chilwell, just check this out. So, putting Mason Mount to shame as a left wing back. We can see here that 0.56 expected assists. He did get us 1 assist. He was getting a good shot off with 0.26 expected goals per 90 minutes. in that one game that he's played so far this season is putting him up there in terms of defenders. So well played to him. He is doing quite well in that regard. So yeah, I'll take us through my team, and then we'll look towards some of the assets.
You're second at the moment.
Yeah, you know what, Chaza? Actually, that's something we need to mention, isn't it? Me and you first and second, and then no one else shows up to the pod.
Oh, wait.
What's that about?
Am I allowed to say eat shit Jack, or would I get kicked out?
Oh, yeah, no, you can say eat shit Jack.
Okay,
yeah.
Eat shit Jack, yeah.
Let's get an eat shit Jack in the chat.
YouTube would ban it anyways.
Yeah, YouTube's not going to ban us for that. That's not a community guidelines violation, actually.
Yeah. So while you're on it, before you take us to the top, let's, as a team, go through Sam Johnson's performance. Because
no. Before we even do that, folks, look at how aesthetic my team is. Look at that. That's glorious.
Yes, I knew bringing myself into this.
Hashtag aesthetic rev in the chat, please.
Aesthetics.
Yeah.
Aesthetics. Who knows?
Revstetics. Yes. We've got the 3 Arsenal, we've got the 3 Man United, we've got the triangle of the Man City players there. Then we've got Estupiñán and Johnson. It's just...
Yeah. My question is, why did you not want to go for a Brighton midfielder or attacker initially?
I didn't really like any of the 6.5 mil mids.
Right.
To be honest.
I thought we'd have stacks of options, and it looks like we do.
Yeah,
no Madison either.
The one I was tempted by was Richarlison. And then what happened was, so just to give a little bit of history to people watching at home, is that I originally had Richarlison. And then what happened was we got the John Stones team news. That John Stones wasn't going to be in the team. And then we got the news that Phil Foden would be starting. So I was like, well, you know what? I've already got Haaland and Alvarez. Let's just go Richarlison to Phil Foden, and then let's go John Stones to Shaw, and that was a pretty easy switch for me. Like, I feel like Foden was a little bit unlucky not to get anything out of that third game, but Alvarez got a return, Haaland's got his 2 goals, so I'm quite happy with that. The only thing that I would say, again, I'm concerned about is the Manchester United assets, but we've covered that. The question is, what do we do going into game week 2? And so I'm still tempted to get rid of Bruno. Now, if I'm going to get rid of Bruno for anyone, at the moment, I kind of feel like I would like Eze, because Eze really impressed me in as much. However, he plays Arsenal in the next game, so again, it's a hold for me. Like, for those of you who've got your eye on Eze, Eze created 1 big chance, created 7 total big chances, and registered an expected goal involvement of 1.09. So, he was really lucky not to get a return. The other person who I've got my eye on at the moment is Diaby from Aston Villa, who play against my beloved Everton. He looked pretty good. He created 2 chances, had 3 shots on goal, and had 0.47 expected goal involvement between the goals and assists. So not breaking numbers. But against the Newcastle side, who are very good defensively, they actually are pretty good. And so Diaby is the one who's tempting me at the moment. If you're still listening along in the chat, make sure you let us know which 6.5 mil mid has caught your eye and why. But until then, I feel like I'm not really going to make any moves in midfield just because of the fixtures, and also I feel like I need more information would be nicer to go into game week 3 with more info instead of just like knee jerking straight away and going from there. Let's have a go at my pick team, which is
side I want to briefly talk about, and that's Brentford. So this is without David Ray now and Ivan Toney.
Mm-hmm.
Both of their strikers got on the score sheet. Are you tempted in any way of considering them for future transfer?
Yeah, Brian Mbeumo has to be in everyone's thoughts, really. He got the penalty, and some people go, "Oh, people with the penalty takers get so lucky because their players get penalties." I'm like, well, no, that's part of the reason you pick them. So even though I don't have him, I can't be mad that I didn't pick, Brentford's known penalty taker. That's on me, So I do think that, Mbeumo is a pretty good shout. This week does again. He plays Fulham away. I think they could feast again. And so yeah, it's a pretty interesting one for the time being, mate.
That's right. João Pedro actually is another player.
Yeah, João Pedro, penalty taker again.
Penalty taker.
By the way, missed an
chance.
Absolute sitter. Like, my 3-year-old could have scored that.
And I've met her too. Was it?
No, that's George. Well, my 4-year-old Nell could have scored it. My 6-year-old Ray could have scored it. Heck, even Jack Gillis could have scored it. That's how low the bar was for that particular chance. And so, when it comes to João Pedro's numbers, by the way, in terms of in terms of his stats,
this is how we roll, Rev. You're bringing stats, I'm bringing vibes.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit hard to judge what his data is saying, because 1, he got the penalty, and 2, he got that absolute sitter. So his expected goals are going to be through the roof. And so at the moment, what I don't have to hand is non-penalty expected goal involvement. And that would be quite interesting to see. But if we look at João Pedro and we look at his map over here, we see, not too involved in getting assists, but yeah, Gary, absolutely correct. Miss of the week. Yeah. Miss of the season, maybe? Miss of the season already, game week 1, potentially. But as we can see here, really good goal. Obviously, took the penalty quite well. Expected goals per 90 is 1.44. Now, you have to bear in mind that he missed an absolute, probably 0.9 XG chance, and then also had a penalty as well. So the fact that he missed that, he could have had 2, to be honest, but just wasn't finishing it. But other than those 2 big chances, for me, didn't seem too involved. And that just might be me. Someone else can correct me if they think I'm wrong. But the 4 shots on the day, see him here. Yeah, 4 shots, 0.01 expected assists, and then, which is very low. But yeah, it shows that he's not getting that involved in those chances for me. He probably needs to do a bit more to impress me, but maybe I'm expecting too much for my 5.5 mil, to be honest. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, I think.
Should we go for a check on our other leagues as well?
Yes, we should. Let's have a quick look at the leagues. So first of all, we have the FPL Addicts Public League.
We do.
We have. Let's just get right in there. Oh, by the way, love that team name. Oh, Nana. What's my name? And then we got Biscuits by Adrian Easom. Congrats. Yeah. Let's just have a look at this team. What did he do here? A game week 1 bench boost. You techie person. Look at that.
I should probably get the screen up, to be honest, Rev.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm sharing the wrong screen. Yeah, so, 104 points. A game week 1 bench boost.
Yeah.
Onana, Gabriel, Saliba, Estupiñán, Shaw, Saka, Foden, Matoma, Fernandez, Haaland, João Pedro, and then Johnson, Son, Wisa, and Rico. That is bold. That is bold. And I respect it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
That's good.
Yeah,
excellent indeed.
So Adrian Easom there, congrats to you on being the manager of the week.
Let's go to our Women's League. If you got that, I can get it up if you want me to, Rev.
Oh yeah, if you can get that one up, and whilst in the meantime, I will go to our FPL Addicts podcast league.
Please
Here
do.
you see me, Hakuna Matata. I thought that was a really original name, and then someone said there's like 70 people with that name, so it turns out I'm not that original. Yes, Gary, that was a baller play.
Baller play.
Yeah, baller play. And so, yeah, I'm sat there pretty with 74, right on your heels, mate. With you there was 78. Bell's Kitchen, which is a great name.
What's with the team changes names all of a sudden? Because I really enjoyed last season's, and now everyone wants to call it by religion, or if Bell has a kitchen.
No, so Bell's Kitchen is a good name, like Bell's Kitchen, Hell's Kitchen, right? Let us know in the comments, by the way, what your fantasy football team name is, and let's see who's got the funniest one. But Hakuna Matata, what a wonderful phrase, you know. You've got Man of Steel, Steel, got the goalkeeper. Is the Pope Catholic? Is the Pope Catholic?
Yeah,
because no, that's a good name because it's a good phrase, and also Newcastle's goalkeeper's called Pope. I just want to call out publicly on stream, Chris Reed, your team name is trash. Getting tasty, baby. What?
Oh.
Do you know how fantasy football team names work? Like, and then Jillers Killers FC. Oh, look at me. Oh, I look like Gary Neville, and I can rhyme.
Oh, mini league.
Yeah. Although it's good to see Jack at the absolute bottom of the league. That's the start we wanted for him.
Yes,
it's the start we wanted, though.
Yeah, for now.
We'll take it.
37 more chapters to go. That's why I'm going to bring in, which I think this is a women's league. Right here. Now, it's not about the scores because it's already tight. I'm just here for the team names. Now, the Harlan Shake, I'm all for.
That's really good.
That's really good, isn't it? The Deli Tubbies.
Do the Harlan Shake. That is like an ancient meme, by the way.
Yeah. Aside from that, those would be.
Anyway, who are we saying congrats to? Who's at the very top?
I can't pronounce her name, but Zakaria, congratulations. You're game week 1. Well done.
Okay, congratulations for smashing it so far.
Indeed.
So that just leaves us with Gary as well. And he says, Banjos and Witch FC. For me, Banjos and Witch what?
I can't get my head around some of these names.
No one knows, yeah. But we are left, Chaza, with my favourite part of the podcast.
Now, I know it's your favourite part, but before that, because
go on.
I'm going to say to the viewers, now, I'm not sure, do you have the EPL Live little thingy on you or not? Because I'll just say it as it is.
You mean this?
Nah, the EPL Live Sports Made Up. Not that one. No.
Oh,
you don't have it. That one, yes, please. Thank you, Rev. You've come on time eventually. Good stuff. Now,
mate, you were late for the podcast. Don't you even dare start talking to me about being on time for anything. You scranning a pizza when you should be working. Sit down and shut your leg.
I'll speak on my pizza just before I get onto this advertisement. It was a normal pizza, pizza with a lot, but chicken parmigiano on top because I wasn't too sure if I wanted to have a large pizza tonight or a chicken parmigiano.
I mean, that does sound like a pretty delicious scran, to be fair.
It was. scran.
That's a dirty scran, that.
There's
Pizza
dirty
with a parmo on it. Whoa.
Yeah, just the Parma slices on top. I know. How crazy. So,
Wow.
Scram Watch, start of the season. We all love it. Anyways, back into the bigger picture. Here we got, if you haven't got it already, please download the EPL Live app, which I hope on my behalf to do this on a weekly basis, put on weekly articles, giving you the game week review and the game week preview heading into the coming game week, looking at which assets are in the spotlight, which assets have performed really well alongside some captaincy options. So that was all for the advertisement on this app here. I'm trying to go make sure this mirror's okay, but yeah, there you go.
Yeah, great stuff.
Done already. There
so,
you go.
Chaza, mate, I'm going to be handing over to you, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. I'm going to hand over to the Chaza Roberts. I hope you're ready for some pure and utter FPL nonsense. It's the captain's
They might be ready. My preparation isn't all that quiet because I've only got 3 options, which are all included in this article. That's all I have at the minute. But anyways, let's go for the song. It's by the remix. It's not a remix, but it's just a song by Tom Grennan called Remind Me. So this is how I go. Millions of Haaland owners. His goal scoring won't go away. I was trying to find if Mo Salah's still the same. Dun, 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 dun. Bukayo's vision does not fade. We were hoping João Pedro does not blank. The night that Mo's dancing, it's all coming back to me. Say, he said, captaincy is on. Do we trust on Bruno or Benny Chilwell or Martinelli? Gabby Martinelli. I don't even know. I haven't done a song since last season's gone. Gabby Martinelli. And then I go to the next verse, and then it goes, I needed the time to find me. Pastor Coglu said sorry. If he tried to captain, now I promise Kane would never leave. Oh, I won't. There you go. That's all for this edition. Actually, yeah. So that's the...
Mate, like, I mean, I really, really appreciate that, but also, I don't know who you're captaining.
That's good.
You mentioned about 9 players. Part. Okay, so go on. What are the three options?
3 options. We would get there eventually, okay?
Yeah.
It's a great way to put it, Colm. All right, so Haaland, I think there's 2 standouts. Him and the Egyptian, who could roar for yet another season in Mo Salah. Haaland first started this season, such as last campaign, with a brace away at Burnley, done by half-time. In his league meetings against Newcastle last season, he got a goal away at St James's Park this time last campaign and got an assist in their 2-0 home win. Mo Salah, he's got a very good record against the Cherries. He's scored 8 goals in his 6 meetings against Bournemouth. But let's not forget, he did blank in their 9-0 home win. He did actually score a hat-trick a few seasons back against his side too. Had an assist to start off the campaign, and what a delicious assist that was. He should have got another goal, but it was ruled, sadly, offside, such as Benny Chilwell. Unfortunately, he's not part of the options in this one, sadly. The curveball for this one, now, unfortunately, if I had more preparation, I thoroughly apologise to you viewers, but it's Bukayo Saka, who's a cheeky curveball. He notched 2 goals and 2 assists from his 2 meetings against Crystal Palace last season. That also included an 18-point haul at home to the Emirates in their 4-1 home win. Adding on, the star boy number 7 started off the season in sublime style with a lovely 10-pointer at home to Nottingham Forest. Follow bon appetit. That's just another edition of Captain's Corner.
That's great. Thank you so much there, Chaza. And I do think that with Newcastle looking amazing, given a 5-1 thrashing of Aston Villa, I think there will be some people who might be tempted away from the Nordic Meat Shield this week. If you're one of those people, let us know in the comments if you're going to be captaining someone other than Erling Haaland. And but yeah, until then, Chaza, I think we've come to the end of the show, mate.
I think we have indeed.
It is. So, thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, if you have loved today's podcast, please do feel free to leave us some love, whether that's on the app that we just mentioned there, whether that's on YouTube with a like and a subscribe for us, leaving all your comments. That's really appreciated. It really helps us out. It's good to grow our community and connect with you all. Thanks to everyone as well who's been in here in the chat, making our nonsense podcast making our nonsense podcast make some sense. What? Nathan, good stuff, boys. Hey, thank you, Nathan, for your great support. We will be back next week, of course, for the game week preview. Chaza, final word from you.
Yeah, look, I'll tell you this: people aren't subscribing for the songs. I guarantee you that much. But there could be another song coming in game week 3. Thanks to those who tuned in, and really enjoyed the discussion with you, Rev, as well.
And finally, eat shit, Jack.
Shit, Jack.